Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cresswell, and I'm going to be talking to you today about digitally printed fabrics, a little bit about the market and the technology, but mainly the reasons that we see digital growing in this marketplace. Just to start off, I was in Dublin at the weekend with my husband's business, just on a jolly in a nice hotel. Didn't expect to talk about digital print. And one of the wives started to tell me how she designed a scarf, and she was going to Italy to try and find someone to print it for her. It was printed on, she wanted to print it on cashmere. She didn't know about the inks, the limitations. She didn't know whether it was going to be digitally printed or analog or digital. And I think this is an example of how creativity is being enabled by digital print, but the knowledge of the designers out there is fairly limited. So just a little bit about me or our company. If you don't know, InfoTrends is an analyst company. We analyse digital printing imaging on a worldwide basis across consumer, office and production printing segments, and wherever the technology is taking us. So we research and write down digital technology trends, research usage, size and forecast market potential. I'm based in the UK, and I work with Tim Green, who is our wide format printing service director. You may have heard of him, and Jim Hamilton and Ron Giboa, who is running the functional and industrial printing services. And this is how InfoTrends sees digital printing opportunities developing. Moving beyond traditional graphic communication sector, which is on that side there, using ink and toner to communicate on paper, and you would include sign and display in there, photo printing, addressing. So it's moving away from or beyond graphic communication into industrial printing, printing onto boards and plastics, into the packaging segment, and then progressing onto other surfaces like ceramics, glass, tiles, and including textiles. And we would categorise that as decorative printing. And we see that now in a rapid growth phase. Beyond that, the materials are being jetted, not inks, but materials are being jetted into 3D prototypes for electronics and medical applications. So we are looking within our functional and industrial printing services at this whole area of where inkjet technology is taking the markets, and it's about understanding the market and market potential. But just to get back to graphic communicate or wide format printers, this is the results of one of the results of a survey we did of wide format printers, where we asked 247 wide format printing companies which areas they were seeing the most potential for growth, which areas were actually affecting their business and growing it. And textiles was the top one. 81% said textiles is an area of growth. Also within that will be other segments such as flags and banners and other soft or textile applications. So I think we all know that it's a good market to be in. And so there are two key segments which are driving digital textile growth. That is graphic communications and decor and fashion. And so really the soft signage area here is still within, is an extension of graphic communications. It's printing onto textiles, but the channels are the same, and the application for sign and display is the same. So the business isn't having to change too much in terms of in terms of marketing and so on. So what we're trying to do at InfoTrends is to focus on this decorative printing segment, which incorporates garment, decor, and a small segment of industrial printing. The number of units placed in the market is this represents the proportions of units placed in the market. So soft signage in the graphic communications area has obviously been huge in 2013. And this area is a small part of it, but that's the focus because this is a different kind of printing and a different kind of industry. I'm going to be just talking mainly about this area and what's driving the growth in that area. Okay. Okay. To put into perspective the opportunity, this is for garment and decor. We see that the printed textile market size in terms of meters squared is about 45 billion meters squared. Now, it's not an exact science, so there might be variations on this, but at the moment we're working with 45 billion meters squared as printed textile. Of that, only 0.6 billion meters squared, or 600 million meters squared, is actually digitally printed. So the growth potential is huge, and of course printed textile sits within an overall $1 trillion textile marketplace. So this is the kind of market size and potential that you'll be operating in the garment and decor sectors. And of course what we're doing is serving 7 billion customers, the population worldwide, with clothing and bedding requirement. Which is currently, from what we're hearing in terms of what the vendors are telling us in terms of growth, 30 to 35% annual growth on average. So a good market to be in. So we're just going to talk about some of the factors affecting that. But first of all, let's just have a look at what these garment markets are. So within garment, this is the biggest sector to have made some digital inroads, okay? And here we see examples from New York Fashion Week. These dresses are likely to be printed on cotton or natural fibres by major fashion designers using maybe reactive type inks. Whilst below here, this more sort of seductive photo, is the rapidly growing sports apparel market. And this is printed actually. This is swimwear printed by Sublitech in Australia that uses sublimation technology to print all sorts of different types of swimwear. But alongside this, they are also printing signs and banners. So you can see how their business has moved from graphic communications into the garment and decor sector. And they'll be using polyester blends and lycra type fabrics using sublimation inks. Also within this sector will be the scarves and ties, like the person that I met in Dublin who wanted to print her new design on ties, on scarves. The decor segment incorporates bed linen, window coverings, as well as carpets and rugs. This is an example from a Turkish home textile printing range by Menderes, likely to be printed on cotton. At the recent Home Textile Show, which just focuses on home textiles or decor, there were 120 companies exhibiting involved in digital equipment and the digital industry for this area. And major producers are now reporting to us between 20 and 40% of their placements are going into the Decor segment. Finally, industrial, which is a very, very niche area, very, very small number of placements, big machines doing things like car upholstery, tent covers, a very, very fragmented kind of outputs, but they would also be included in a decorative textile. So the developments in wider and faster machines helps to make it more viable. So why go digital? Why go digital? Well, the top picture on the right-hand side there, is a picture of a major fashion printer in Italy's warehouse, where they have 35,000 cylinders that have to be manoeuvred by a forklift truck, cylinders for rotary printing. So time and space savings made by moving over to digital will be a major reason for change. A hypothetical example that InfoTrends did, where we were looking at producing screens to make 5 silk ties versus making ready digitally, came to a cost difference of about 400 times. So 400 times more costly to do it through a screen process than digitally. But of course, this doesn't account for production running costs, where obviously a per unit costs go radically up for digital and down for analog. The industry is telling us at the moment that just for the ink alone, it's still 4 to 10 times more expensive on a unit basis to print digitally. So there's a lot to be done before digital can really replace analog, but I think there's a lot of other things that are happening. And another driver for this is waste reduction and reducing tooling, as well as, of course, improved colour range and so on. Okay. One of the biggest drivers, and I think this is what is really driving digital, is creativity and short runs. As with the lady with the cashmere scarf design, the digital imaging enables creativity using computer graphics and ranges of colours, never-ending design options, down to unique, customised, even personalised designs, and can be each a run length of 1. Whilst mass production is turning into mass customisation could be some way off, we are hearing that traditional textile printers are replacing analogue machines completely. And some are expecting to be 100% digital by the end of the decade. And another driver for growth is new business opportunities. And with that creativity, the new business opportunities happen whether you are a major traditional textile manufacturing company that's gaining from operational efficiency and environmental improvement, or a smaller digital printer printing on demand. The example that we see here is of a company in the US called Spoonflower, which is an on-demand print company set up in 2008 by the desire of a keen seamstress, somebody who liked to design their own patterns and make curtains and clothes from her own fabric. This company has now got 1 million online household designer customers, and they have around 30 different digital printers A lot of them are pigmented ink, so they can use natural fibres, cottons, and also sublimation, where the post-treatment is not an issue, not so much of an issue. Similar printing companies are setting up all over the place, usually using dye sublimation technology. Primarily, what we're seeing is the operational efficiency, environmental friendliness, but what digital technology is doing is also enabling on-demand or purchase-activated manufacturing, or PAM, as it's known, for fast execution, designed to market in the short term, when no order is too small. So this kind of company is an example of a truly on-demand textile printer. And it has grown that big, and it itself has designers as customers who are then selling on their own fabric that they've had printed by this company. So you can see how companies can come from nowhere with digital technology. And then the other driver for growth, of course, is the environment. Various companies quote different reductions in energy usage and water consumption with digital. This fashion producer's savings represent over 90% reduction of water per linear metre, and thereby carbon dioxide emission reductions of 25%. Also, reduced waste and elimination of toxins are majorly significant drivers. So environmental gains will be particularly important, we feel, in the European and North American marketplaces, where they're now used as selling points. So it isn't just about little startup companies, but big industry is benefiting from digitally enabled manufacturing. It's important to see that mass production industries are leveraging digital technology. Zara, the global Spanish fashion retailer, changes out its stock or its fashion season every two or 3 weeks. So they no longer need massive long print runs of the same thing, and uses digital print operations near to its distribution centres. This could end up with mass customization, and is a really good example of how big industry is moving, and it's moving to shorter run. And that's because our life is shorter run. Nobody wants to see the same thing, the same set of or line of clothing on the shop floor for longer than a few weeks. And so digital is enabling this kind of change. In the Decor sector, digital is localising manufacturing. Stanfast and Barrack, a leading UK Decor printer, has said that through digital it is diverting the loss of analogue printing that's going to Asia. It's diverted that, and primarily through creativity that digital has enabled. They've now brought on digital devices to focus or to move into the high-end garment sector, and are working with customers based in the UK and Europe. So whilst digital is not taking over from the analogue print, the high runs, what it's doing is actually doubling as a proportion of their business, and keeping manufacturing in the UK. How is this technology being enabled? This is just a quick overview of the technology. I think you've heard from people who are involved in the technicalities of all the different inks and so on this morning. So just a quick overview. Inkjet, over the past 10 years, we've seen improvements in inkjet in terms of reliability and speed, such that piezo print heads, as shown, are now enabled to be configured in lines. Oh, sorry. to be configured in line. So it's gone from a single nozzle, configuring them together, and then configuring them into lines. So you've got line and fast, wide devices. To create machines which range from the sort of 25 meters square per hour, that's an example of a direct-to-garment machine from Cornet, going right through to the MS Larios, which can do something like 8,000 meters square per hour, big single-pass machines. And in 2013, the market has really filled out in between with small and mid-range solutions, opening up predominantly sublimation textile printing solutions to go beyond graphic communications into sports, apparel and fashion, fast fashion industry. The companies involved range, and apologies, I haven't got every company on here, but the companies involved range from traditional textile printing suppliers who've made the analog machines and know the markets, like MS, SRL, SPG, Reggiani, Robustelli, Zimmer, those kind of companies, who've been in the industry for 20 odd years and beyond. And then we have the digital and inkjet suppliers in the middle there, that have been in the industry in maybe inkjet technology for less than 20 years, but they've still been in that technology for that long. They're influencing this market. And then we have, adjacent market entries from companies that have been in the industry for a lot less time. All play a part and can be different in different parts of the market. But what we are now seeing is not only developments to get faster and more mass production solutions, but these companies are also offering solutions for new businesses into that mid-range and low-end segment. I think the lady about an hour ago was talking in a lot more depth and detail and knowledge on this segment than me, but this is really just to show that fabric is more complex than paper. So if you're going from a paper base into soft textile printing with inkjet, it's not quite the same. This table just summarises the complexity of working on the fabrics with all of its demands in usage. Different fabrics need different inks and different amounts of pre and post treatment, and that's what all the developments that you'll be seeing at FESPA are about. They're going to be about making those pre and post treatments more efficient. They're going to be about downsizing the kind of washing machines and dryers. They're about inline technology, or they're about developments of the inks in order to reduce the amount of post-treatment needed. And it's interesting that one of the biggest areas that you'd expect of development would be in, would be in pigment inks, because it doesn't require post-treatment. But in order to get this into the very mass production end of the market, you'd have to bring down the costs significantly and reduce a lot of the technical issues, the light fastness, colour vibrancy. But if you're bringing this into maybe the mid-range or low end, then there are solutions already out there. And we talked about a company earlier that's using the neo-pigment inks from Cornet successfully in their on-demand type business. Okay. And just to show, just to sort of reiterate that getting into this market is not just about knowing about inkjet. You have to know about the processes needed around it. If you're doing high-end textile printing, then you're going to need some kind of blanket maybe for keeping the fabric still whilst printing, and then you're going to need the post-treatment processes as well. For most, not all of the inks, but okay. But fabric choice is also being influenced by other factors. So cotton pricing over the past 5 years or so has gone through the roof, and it has driven a shift towards other fabrics like polyester-based fabrics, and in so doing, polyester has got better because polyester is obviously synthetic, and now polyester has become a bit trendy, and you see the likes of Nike with their dry fit using polyester material successfully, and that is actually moving also into fashion and fast fashion or high street fashion. So another advantage or an important driver is also that synthetics like polyester can be made with fewer resources, lower energy consumption, and be recycled back for the same use. So there are other drivers which are affecting the industry. So if suddenly you get the ink to work cost effectively on cotton, but the market actually likes polyester more, then you've got to be ready for that as well. So just going back to what InfoTrends does with size, market potential and so on, how has this all influenced the placements? This is placements by ink type, so this is not ink usage, but in 2013, in the higher end part of the garment sector, so we're talking about 80 meters squared and higher per hour, 80 meters squared per hour and higher. Reactive is the main is the main ink. So this is reactive here. But there's been the growing use of polyester materials, and this is driving dye sub ink here, and disperse we expect also to grow. These are dry print processes, so sublimation obviously does not need the post-treatment requirements of the others, and that's really driving, even up into these speed segments, the dye sublimation ink potential. And another driver is what I mentioned earlier, the PAM, purchase activated manufacturing, which is the on-demand new kind of sector which is driving dye sublimation as well. So I think I'm just about done with time. In summary, the technology trends. So the trends really in technology are in the high end towards single pass high volume. But then in the mid-range and low end is dye sub. Dye sublimation has really grown. This has grown because of polyester, regarding environment, regarding cotton pricing, but it's also becoming a fabric either blended with others, which is in some way trendy. Dispersing growth is also growing due to polyester growth. Environmental and price pressure is driving this polyester growth, as I've said, and the retailers changing supply chain. The example with Zara, for example, where fashion seasons are reducing dramatically, is leading to shorter run and requirements for companies like that to have their printing close to distribution centres. And of course, at the lower end, purchase activated manufacturing, so somebody buying online before they actually get their product is emerging, and companies are taking advantage of the technology to operate there. Traditional fabric finishing companies, of course, have also taken up or are moving rapidly to digital due to all of the above things as well. And when we look at what the actual fashion and decor industry wants, they want shorter lead times, they want more flexibility on ink and fabric choices, they want faster machines, cheaper ink systems, specialty inks. These are people actually in those industries, in the mass production industries, wanting digital because for these reasons, but they need certain things developed. And these are all the areas that we see in development, and you'll be seeing around the show. Ink and printhead companies and printer manufacturers are looking at trying to make inks more vibrant, improving permanency, the cost effectiveness of the inks, fabric adherence and output quality, higher speeds, faster dry times, flexibility across inks, efficient systems to flush out inks, because the printers do change their inks, and whether that's good for the printhead or not, we're hearing that can be a problem. And complete inline solutions are also something which we're starting to see come on, and I'm sure there's a dozen other things that we're seeing at the show. So, in summary, final summary, digital textile printing is one of the fastest growing segments, and it could help to localize production, allowing for more proficient supply chain management. That's what we're seeing it doing. Leveraging digital textile printing is the next step for fashion. Fashion performance apparel, so the swimsuit area and sports products, but also decor and industrial vertical markets. And importantly, I think what it is doing is driving and enabling creativity, and that's changing how the world works, really. And so it is inevitable. But it's still, if you remember back to the slide where we're talking about how big it is, it's still 1.5% of a huge market. So it's got a lot to do, and you're just at the beginning of it. But we would say that there are an awful lot of hiccups and complications, workflow, software solutions are necessary for efficient production. So, web to print, PAM systems, e-commerce, all these things will will change the way that you have to do business in order to be successful with this technology in these segments. And it has been done, basically we see it as transformative disruption. We see different companies in the signage area who are building things, taking the industry in a different direction. Vista print in commercial print and so on. Spoonflower I talked about in textile is a good example. But in order to disrupt or to change the way things go, then there needs to be attention to all of these different aspects of workflow and front-end processing and so on. So it's not just print anymore. Okay, that's about it from me. I don't know if there's time for questions, is there?